Hello there, and welcome to my review of Country Anime 2, La Vaca, Brincó, Sobre, la Luna. I meant for this review to come out last week, but I wasn't able to do it, so instead, I'm going to be recording it while I should be studying for finals instead, and also while I'm sick. So if my voice sounds weirder than it normally is, that's why. I was really motivated to do my reviews for the Country Anime series, even though I was already planning to do it, when I got this amazing gift from one of the creators of Country Anime himself. You want to know what it is? Brace yourselves, because you might get extremely hyped. This is the only physical copy of Country Anime 2 in the entire world at this current moment, and I am so honored to be the owner of this copy. It is very near and dear to my heart, and I keep it on my desk at all times. I can't count how many times I have watched this. It is truly amazing. Apparently, the creator plans on making more physical copies to sell, which I am very excited for. So yeah, look forward to that and make sure to buy one. This review will also have spoilers if you haven't already watched Country Anime 2, but I feel like everyone pretty much has, so I don't know. You must just be living under a rock at all times if you haven't watched it. So let's get right into it. First off, I want to say is the movie's length. Country Anime 1 is basically a short film, not something like Pixar's short films, which are only about 2 minutes in length. It was about 20 minutes, which is a decent amount of time. This one is a full hour long. That is 3 times as long as the original, and it definitely pays off. Nothing feels rushed. It is a very well-paced movie, and this movie is obviously just great in general. You guys already know that. Like, unironically, this movie is really, really good. It picks up right after the events of Country Anime 1. And we see a plot point from Country Anime 1 come to take over this in Country Anime 2. In Country Anime 1, protagonist explains to Caesar that the bank is on his back, basically. And we see that in Country Anime 2. The first scene is him going to a bar and him encountering the main antagonist of the film, El Banco, who makes an incredible entrance. The way that they introduce the characters in this film is just so amazing and so memorable, and I love it. Basically, El Banco says, "Hey, you owe us money," and protagonist is like, and then he heads out to Mexico, which we see in a wonderful flashback scene that kind of indirectly explain the events of the first one as he's leaving Alabama in this very emotional music segment. And then you see him crossing the border, and then he's in the new territory of Mexico. 7 years pass, and this time cut is very important in my opinion, as it shows protagonist having a family. We see he has a wife who he doesn't have the best relationship with, and he also has a son who we can obviously see he cares very, very deeply for. We walk right into an argument between protagonist and his wife, and this immediately shows the amazing dialogue written in this movie. It's funny, it's clever, and it's very well paced. It also shows the personality of the characters very well. You see protagonist's wife, and she has this, very angry accent, like, "Oh, I'm angry all the time. I hate you." And protagonist, he's also angry at his wife, but he seems more like he's defending himself, like he's on the defense. and he's letting his anger get the best of him. But we also see that he loves his son very much, as I already stated before. Then immediately the plot starts again, which again points to the amazing pacing of this film, where Obanko and his new henchman Jung Kook, who, side note, is probably the most iconic character in the Cuntry Anime series as a whole. He completely stole the show in this film, are shown. And they ask him, hey, kid, where are your parents? Towards protagonist's son. He's like, Daddy! Then protagonist comes out, and he's basically, hey, no, please, I'll pay you. And Albanco's like, you better, or else there's gonna be major consequences. So, protagonist leaves his family towards sweet Las Vegas in order to gamble his house away in order to pay the bankers back. And this is where we get probably the best costume of any character, and just the best actor in the entire film, who plays Rahim. He also plays protagonist's wife, but he's the best actor in the film, in my opinion. And this entire sequence is very, very interesting, because it's a bit played for laughs, which is a good thing. You need comedic moments in a film that like this, especially so dire, and that's what this scene does. It does it very well, again, like I said, and the character entrance by Rahim, as every other character entrance is in the entire film, is just perfect. It's actually perfect. So, protagonist obviously loses the gamble to Rahim and has to go to his house empty-handed, completely broke. And this is the best scene in the entire movie, in my opinion. Protagonist walking to his house as Albanco is there to murder his family. And like I said, it is unironically an amazing scene and shot extremely well, to the point where like halfway through it, where protagonist is still walking on the street, but his son has already opened the door. You're like, holy crap, oh no, it's Albanco, he's here to murder them. And they're able to make the viewer think that without having to tell them anything directly. Show, don't tell. And this scene does that perfectly. Anyways, protagonist's son is murdered, which is a very tragic scene. And his wife is taken by a helicopter. So, thing is that now Albanco just kind of doesn't care about protagonist. He's just like, alright, we'll kill him, and then the job's done. But protagonist, his family's dead. So instead of doing this really for too much of the good of his heart, this is a very, very personal conflict for protagonist. Just like the last movie was, where the last movie he was having to fight his brother and father. This one he's fighting to avenge his family, which is just an amazing motivation for protagonist. And keeping the conflict personal, instead of it being like, oh, I'm trying to get the Infinity Stone. I'm trying to get the Infinity Stone as well. Oh, we're in each other's way. No. Rather, the antagonist fights back first based off of protagonist's actions, and protagonist has to fight back based off of the antagonist's actions. It's a kind of like cause and effect aspect, which is pretty well used in this film. Then we see a scene that isn't in this version and caused a lot of controversies to the point where they had to cut it out of the public version. But if you pirate the movie legally, you can probably find the scene. It is the extremely infamous sour cream scene from Cuntry Anime 2. It's an extremely ambitious and very risky scene that they sadly had to remove. But hopefully in more recent bot versions, they're going to include that scene as part of like a bonus or something. That's not in this version, but I think if they do that, that just makes this version even more special. Then we see protagonist confront Jungkook in an epic battle that is obviously won very easily by Jungkook, who we see call El Banco on a banana to tell him that the job's done. And you can actually see that in the cover, in the official cover. If you look closely, that's Jungkook holding a banana. That's pretty nice. It is pretty nice. This is the second time protagonist dies in the series so far, and it's definitely not the last. Then we get to the easily worst part of the film, which is a training montage part that lasts, I believe, 5 minutes, which is obviously way too long, or it did, but in this cut version it lasts much shorter of a time, which is very good, so I'm glad they fixed that mistake. So yeah, protagonist trains with Mishnu again, instead of just, oh, I have your powers now. We see protagonist actually improve and change, and he's brought back to life in the pool, and he goes to fight Jungkook again, except this time he's more powerful. And we see another fight scene between them, except this one is very reminiscent of the original fight scene between Sizor and protagonist in the first Cuntry Anime, where it's a lot more of a dance-off. And it's a very dynamic, very engaging fight between these two that protagonist eventually wins. And we see two mysterious characters in the background that have very vague plot purposes. So they're not just there for laughs. You can see that they're important to the plot. We see that one of them is actually El Banco himself in disguise, as he goes to Jungkook's corpse and is kind of like, no, you're dead. And there's also a character that is hinted to be Caesar, who we know to be dead in this film. We see that he has kind of like a similar body to Caesar, and even protagonist himself says, you look like my father, and Caesar is his father. So that's very interesting. But there's no way it could be Caesar, obviously, or Sizor. Then we get to the ultimate climax of the film, which begins off really strong. It is between protagonist and El Banco. And there are some nice movie references in here, specifically Endgame, oh, you took everything from me, and the little that El Banco does, because he was just shaving with the katana, and he's getting the hair off by doing that. So, nice little Endgame reference there, but it is a very tense, and I hate to say it, epic scene that we see here. And they begin fighting, and I highly recommend rewatching the fight for yourself, because again, hopefully you've watched it before watching this review, because the movie is full of twists and turns, and I hate to be the one to spoil it for you. So yeah, just watch it. Rewatch the fight scene again, and you'll see how truly great it is. Then we see protagonist get defeated again, and Mishnu warns him, this is your last shot. Your next death will indeed be your last death. So I need you to eat me. Which is an insane callback to the original Cuntry Anime, in which Sizor eats Mishnu, the World Peace Cow, but eats his physical form. But this time, protagonist is eating his spiritual form, his true World Peace Cow form. And this will give him the powers of Mishnu, the World Peace Cow, which is a very tragic scene. But it's also one to kind of get us hyped, like, oh my gosh, protagonist is going to be so much more powerful now. And we continue the fight, which escalates in intensity more and more until protagonist finally beats El Banco. Then we get to the biggest twist of all. The biggest twist in the entire film, and I don't know if anything Cuntry Anime 3 will top it. El Banco calls his boss, because apparently he has a boss, and says that he could not kill protagonist. Then we see a katana fly at El Banco and kill him for his failure. Then we see the person who threw that katana in this insane scene that will give you chills. It's insane. It is revealed that the person behind this is Sizor, reborn again. He did not die in the last film. He is still alive, and he's been pulling the strings of this entire film the entire time. Then the movie ends there. It rolls the credits after revealing that Sizor is behind it all, hyping you up so much for Cuntry Anime 3. And obviously, as you guys all know, I am super hyped. It's also revealed again in another callback scene after the credits that the person at the casino, the dealer, rigged the cards and again was Sizor. He was rigging it against protagonist. And a major homage to the original scene where Caesar washes his hands as Sizor washes his hands as well. So the entire time I've been pretty much praising this film as something extremely great. And unironically, it is a very good film, especially with its non-existent budget. It is, I'm not joking, this is actually a pretty good film when rewatching this. The dialogue is hilarious, and it delivers its job well. The pacing in this film is I won't say perfect, but it's just phenomenal. The way some scenes are shot are amazing as well, and it's to the point where I only really have one problem with this film, but that problem was fixed. And that was that the pacing was killed by how long the training scene was. And I think that's just, despite the pacing being amazing, there are some scenes, mainly the training scene and the fight scene between protagonist and El Banco, that overstay their welcome. But besides that, this film is just extremely good. Every character is iconic and amazing, and every scene is just extremely rewatchable and enjoyable. This movie as a whole is a blast to watch, and it's one of my favorite films of this year, and I really hope it gets at least nominated at the Oscars for Best Motion Picture of 2019. So, what am I going to give this film out of 10? So as you guys probably remember, I gave a pretty controversial score for the original Cuntry Anime, a 6.5 out of 10. I'm going to be giving this film an 8 out of 10. I'm not joking, an 8 out of 10. You may say 1.5 points isn't that much higher, but an 8 out of 10 is a great film. It's just a great film through and through, and it's one that kind of does just everything right. It's just not, a masterpiece, which I'm hoping Cuntry Anime 3 will be. That was my review of Cuntry Anime 2. I really, really, really hope you enjoyed that. Again, sorry I was sick, and sorry that this video didn't come out earlier. I have one last thing to say. You better subscribe right now. I'm giving you to the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Nice.